See if y'all fuck with it. Viewer discretion is advised.
This photo was taken inside a small storage room at the back of a house in Kent, England. The space is cluttered with all sorts of things, and in the middle of it all sits a wooden box. It looks homemade, built from a few pieces of pine, and fitted with a cheap combination lock that's been screwed into the front. But this box wasn't part of the mess around it. It had a purpose.
It must have been hiding a body of a little kid or something in it.
Purpose that was far more disturbing than anyone could have expected.
It must have had like a little kid or something in there.
The safe belonged to a man called David Fuller. He was 67 years.
Nigga, I don't know which eye that nigga's looking at me at. Is it this eye or this eye? What the fuck? Yeah, he looks like one of them ones. He definitely like one of them ones. I don't even know which side nigga looking at me at. I could be over here, over here. I don't know where he's looking at. But he like one of them ones though.
Years old, a father of 4, and had spent most of his life working as an electrician at hospitals across Kent and Sussex. He was quiet and dependable, keeping to himself and never causing any trouble.
And he got a fucking carrot on his nose. Fucking pepper on his nose.
Outside of work, he had a handful of hobbies that made him seem even more ordinary. He liked bird watching, and he cycled on the weekends, regularly taking photographs of just about anything that caught his eye. Fuller had grown up in Deal, a small coastal town, and started his career with a 4-year apprenticeship for the Ministry of Defence. He married 3 times, and for a while he blended in.
What's up, Rube? I ain't seen my nigga Rube in forever. What's up with it?
To a small community in Heathfield, living in a quiet cul-de-sac where no one had a reason to look twice at him. But Fuller's private life was more complicated than most people realised. He had multiple affairs, including a long relationship with a nurse he met through work. They would meet for drinks at a hospital social club, or go to concerts together. Their relationship ended only when Fuller left her for another woman. Worse still, 2 murders in Tunbridge Wells had already tied his name to something much darker in 1987, even if no one knew it at the time. In June of that year, 26-year-old Wendy Nell was living in a bedsit on Guildford Road.
Her ass was sitting in that wooden box. He done probably dismembered her ass and put her in that box.
She had recently separated from her husband and was focused on her job at Super Snaps on Camden Road. Her boyfriend dropped her home one night, and she was never seen alive again.
That shit's wild.
The next day she was found in her room, lying on her bed with blood covering the sheets. She had been physically assaulted, beaten, and strangled. Neighbours said they heard nothing, despite the thin walls in the building, and there were no clear signs of forced entry, but her diary and a set of keys were missing. An EFIT, which is a computer-generated image of a person who is believed to have committed a crime or who is missing, was produced, but it didn't lead anywhere. 6 months later, 20-year-old Caroline Pierce disappeared outside her home on Grosvenor Park. She worked at...
How big is the safe? Or are you just putting the items from each, victim in the safe? Cause what the fuck is you doing?
Buster Brown's, a busy restaurant in the town. On the night she vanished, several people reported hearing screams from her doorstep, but nothing came of it. She never made it inside. Her body was found 3 weeks later, 40 miles away in a drainage ditch on farmland in Romney Marsh. A tractor driver noticed her from the height of his cab. She had also been physically assaulted, beaten, and strangled, and her keys were missing as well. Both women worked on Camden Road, and both lived alone. They were attacked in ways that pointed to the same person, and detectives were confident the murders were linked.
They ain't even favor each other, did they? One black hair, one red hair. That nigga just snatching bitches.
The issue, though, is that in the late
That nigga
1980s,
just snatching
there
bitches.
wasn't any CCTV or mobile data to work with, and DNA analysis was still in its early stages. They collected what they could: a bloody fingerprint on a shopping bag, a footprint on a blouse, and biological samples, but none of it led to a suspect. By the end of the decade, the investigation had gone cold. The evidence was there, but the science at the time couldn't do much with it, and every attempt to match the samples taken from Wendy Nell and Caroline Pierce.
What you been on though, Rube? I mean, you ain't even said nothing back. What's up? What you been on though? I ain't seen my nigga Rube in forever. Nigga, I'm back on the streaming journey, nigga. I'm back here.
Led nowhere. That changed in 2019, when specialists began revisiting older material with methods that hadn't existed in the 80s. They were now able to recover DNA from samples that had degraded over time, including damaged material taken from Caroline's tights. Alongside that came another tool, something called familial DNA, which allowed investigators to look for relatives of an unknown offender rather than the offender.
I hate when my shit be
Which
lagging,
allowed
bro.
investigators to look for relatives of an unknown offender rather than the offender himself. When they ran the samples through the national database, the pool of possible matches shrank from millions to a small group of families that shared certain markers with the profile taken from both scenes. Investigators worked through age, background, and anyone with links to Tunbridge Wells or Romney Marsh, slowly reducing the list until one name was left: David Fuller. In late 2020, investigators gave David Fuller a visit. From the outside, it looked like any other property on the street, aside from the number of CCTV cameras fixed around it. Inside, the search took time. Fuller kept almost everything. Old computers were stacked on
The nigga look like a hoarder, for real. Yeah, he was hoarding shit.
shelves and hard drives stored in boxes. There were discs, phones, SIM cards, and more than 34,000 printed photographs. He kept invoices from maintenance work, diaries describing evenings out, and pictures from rides he had taken with a local cycling club. As investigators worked through the material, certain details began to stand out. The invoices placed Fuller in and around Tunbridge Wells for years, even though he claimed he barely knew the town. The diaries showed regular visits to Buster Brown's, where Caroline Pierce worked, and photographs and notes from his cycling trips showed that he often travelled through Romney Marsh, the same area where Caroline's body was found. And among the thousands of photographs he kept, one showed him lying in the grass on a sunny day, with his feet upturned behind him. The pattern on the soles of his Clark's shoes matched the print left on Wendy's blouse. His fingerprints partially matched the mark found on a shopping bag in her room. And so, the DNA results confirmed the link. The sample from Caroline Pierce's tights matched Fuller's profile, and the material recovered from Wendy Nell's duvet placed him as the most likely source by a huge margin. After 33 years, investigators finally had a name. But the search of the house continued. There were still hundreds of hard drives, memory cards, and more than 2,000 obsolete discs to go through. Then, investigators opened a cupboard in one of the rooms. A cabinet had been pushed tightly against the back wall. When they moved it, they found a small fixture screwed into the rear panel. It was a makeshift safe, and inside of it was 4 hard drives. When they started going through those drives, the focus of the investigation changed completely. Instead of finding material linked,
he been a murderer. He been killing motherfuckers. He just got caught. He been doing this shit.
Only to the murders. Detectives found videos Fuller had filmed himself. The footage showed him inside hospital mortuaries, using his position at work to gain access to areas that were supposed to be secure. You see, Fuller had an employee swipe card that allowed him to move freely around the buildings. The mortuary was one of the places he could enter without raising suspicion. At the newer hospitals, the fridges where bodies were kept had doors at both ends. One side was covered by CCTV. The other, where post-mortem examinations took place, had no cameras at all, and it seemed like Fuller knew this. He pleasured himself using the bodies stored inside those fridges, and using a small camera, filmed it all.
My nigga was fucking dead bodies? The nigga was pleasuring himself to dead bodies. Was you fucking him? Was you jerking off looking at dead bodies? That's what's that, a necrophiliac, right?
Investigators were able to pause the footage and read the details on the wristbands of the patients, and compared the timestamps and metadata from the files with mortuary logs, matching each clip to the person who had been in that fridge at that time. Fuller even kept a small black notebook, where he kept a list of the names of people he abused. As investigators kept going, they found more and more of the same thing. Fuller went into the fridges at times when staff had already gone home. He stayed there for long periods of time, and in some cases, he came back to the same bodies on multiple days. But that's not all.
This is how you can lose the weight.
He came back to the same body for multiple days. It's crazy.
Access to a variety of options for weight loss, like access to compound.
Officers found around 4 million images of explicit material in total. Most of those were downloads, including a large amount of CSAM, which on its own would have been one of the biggest collections police had ever encountered. But mixed into that were more than 800,000 images, and over 500 videos that Fuller had created himself, documenting his necrophilic offences across both hospitals.
I
By the
told you
time
niggas
officers finished
necrophiliac.
counting, there were more than 100 people he abused.
That
Some
nigga's
were elderly,
nasty.
and some were children. The oldest was 100, and the youngest was just 9 years old. By the time the case reached court in 2021,
Oh, funny-eyed ass nigga. Oh, can't see straight ass nigga. Oh, CP ass nigga. Nigga's a PDF file, nigga. Get him the fuck out of here. Go die in that motherfucker.
there was nothing left for Fuller to deny. He admitted to killing 25-year-old Wendy Nell and 20-year-old Caroline Pierce in separate attacks in Tunbridge Wells back in
PDF, man.
1987. He also pleaded guilty to 44 further offences involving the abuse of 78 dead women and girls between 2008 and 2020, all connected to the mortuary abuse uncovered on his drives. After that conviction, the investigation continued. More victims were identified, and more files were reviewed. Fuller was charged again, this time for offences against 23 additional women, aged between 45 and 92, 10 of whom have never been identified. He admitted to those charges as well. They included 12 counts of inappropriate acts with a corpse, and 4 counts related to the possession of extreme adult content, all committed between 2007 and 2020. In October 2021, he was charged with 16 more mortuary offences linked to both the Old Kent and Sussex Hospital and the newer site in Pembury.
That's fucking
He
wild.
pleaded guilty to those charges in November 2022. For the murders of Wendy Nell and Caroline Pierce, Fuller was given a whole life order. That sentence was handed down on the 15th of
Yeah, the
December
nigga needed a life
2021,
sentence.
meaning he will never be released. The later offences added further years to his sentence, though they no longer changed the outcome. He's currently held at HMP Frankland, alongside other high-profile offenders. In the end, the only reason any of this came to light was because of the murders he committed more than 30 years earlier.
Yeah, nah, bro. There was a PDF file. He a PDF file. We're gonna back up off this for a second. Hold on, let me block my camera real quick. Let me my display. Cause we about to be heading up out of here shortly. But I mean, what's a stream without me placing some bets. You know what I mean? With us locking in what we gonna be locking in. You know what I mean? Hold on, I gotta get my password right to it. Hold on. It ain't trying to log me in. I forgot my password, so shit, we rocking out.